Hi, this is Rod Faulkner, and you are listening to the 7thmatrix.com Eye on Sci-Fi podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 195 of the 7thmatrix.com Eye on Sci-Fi podcast, the podcast where we share with you terrific indie science fiction and fantasy, online short films, web series, and other closely related media. We also, on occasion, have conversations with the talented creators who are producing outstanding indie speculative work. This episode is going to be off the beaten path because I want to talk about an issue in Hollywood that you may not be aware of. Currently, as of the recording of this episode, which is being recorded on July 8th of 2023, we are in the midst of a writer's strike in Hollywood, with the actors potentially striking very soon. But what is not getting mainstream media attention is that there is another crisis in Hollywood involving the visual effects industry. What is happening is that the working conditions for visual effects artists and professionals is extremely arduous and difficult, even more so than what I thought. I discovered this by watching a documentary on YouTube entitled The Visual Effects Crisis, and it is streaming for free again on YouTube. It is about 20 minutes long, but it contains very shocking and eye-opening revelations about just how horrible working conditions are for visual effects professionals in Hollywood. In a nutshell, powerful Hollywood studios, including Marvel and Netflix, are requiring that visual effects houses underbid for their work. They accept contracts that are heavily in the studio's favor, and the visual effects houses have to accept them in order to survive. Part of what's going on is that Hollywood studios are lowballing visual effects houses. The visual effects houses are hired, and they are required to work under tight deadlines, which it is quite common for visual effects professionals to work up to 100, yes, you heard that right, 100 hours per week in order to meet deadlines and complete elaborate visual effects sequences. Now, on top of that, they are also required to make numerous revisions at the whim of the directors and studios, and the studios don't pay for this. The visual effects houses eat that cost, and they do this in order to try and stay competitive, but it is often not enough for them to survive economically. In fact, many visual effects houses have gone out of business because of it. Remember a few years ago, the film The Life of Pi by director Ang Lee? Well, people marveled at the visual effects, including that tiger. The visual effects house responsible for those effects was called Rhythm and Hues. It had been around since the 80s. But 3 months after The Life of Pi won an Oscar, Rhythm and Hues went out of business. That's how inequitable the economics is for visual effects houses doing business with Hollywood. Something else that I didn't know is that, unlike directors and writers and producers, visual effects professionals do not get residuals for any of the work that they do. Also, they do not get a part of the back end or any profit participation. I think that is outrageous. And what is happening is that burnt out visual effects professionals are leaving the industry altogether. And also, again, visual effects houses are always under constant threat of going under, and many do. Something definitely needs to change in terms of the working conditions that visual effects professionals are operating under in Hollywood. And also, too, they deserve to get back into residuals for the work that they do, because they are just as critical a component of production in television and film as writers, directors, and producers. I highly encourage you to watch The Visual Effects Crisis on YouTube and I will include a link to it in the show notes of this episode. Okay, that's it for this episode, everyone. Thank you again for listening, and I encourage you to visit our website, theseventhmatrix.com, and check out all of the terrific independent science fiction and fantasy short films, web series, and other closely related media that we've curated on the site. While you're there, I also need for you to check out our support section, because without the kind and generous support of listeners like you, we would not be able to do the work that we do here on Eye on Sci-Fi Podcast and over at the Seventh Matrix, and we do appreciate that. Also, leave us a review and rating wherever you get your podcasts, because that does help others find us, and we appreciate that a great deal as well. So, until the Seventh Matrix portal reopens, stay safe and healthy out there. And remember to take a break, escape the mundane, and enter the fantastic. Take care.